Good morning, brothers and sisters. Well, I know I just did a video yesterday. I made a point in there about that I was just frustrated at how many people, especially Christians, that don't see what's going on, that it's biblical. And boy, you know, I know of many that struggle with the idea that we could be in the last days, even though they're Christians, Bible-believing Christians. And so I think, in my opinion, it's because the metaphor of the pot being heated up slowly such that the frog doesn't realize it and dies. That's really what's going on here, if you ask me. Let's just run through a couple of news articles and I'm sure everybody that watches these videos sees it coming too, but I guess we'll just commiserate today. That's kind of what's in my mind. Paul Bigley had linked this one today, and it's a good one. We're in the International Business Times website. Israel Al-Aqsa Mosque will be replaced by Jewish temple, claims the housing minister Uri Ariel. And boy, is that ever biblical, right? We know the third temple is going to get built because the uh, Antichrist goes into it halfway through the tribulation period. And here we go. I mean, they're calling for it to be built. We know that the Temple Mount faithful have been planning this for a long time, but now there's a push to actually have it happen. And that's, there's riots on the Temple Mount. Now you can see the riot gear right here, but that's been going on for a few weeks. And just today again, another, presumably a Palestinian, rammed his car into a crowd in Jerusalem, killing at least one. And that had just happened a couple weeks before as well. So you can see the escalation, and I know Abbas is saying he's going to the Security Council, I think, or the UN anyways, for Palestinian help, recognition. So that's all, in flames. And again, it's so biblical. And Jerusalem uh, and Judah being surrounded by the enemies of the world, Zechariah 12, this is so biblical. And then some other interesting stuff here. And again, I think it's all coming together. This one here, I just stayed with the same website, but NASA image suggests technology exists on Mars. And it's a article covering a report by Enigma. What do they call themselves? Uh, Enigma Digest. And this was out several weeks ago again, but this is an image from the NASA rover on Mars, clearly showing, they call this a pressure valve, and they seem to pick off different aspects that demonstrate that this was definitely a designed piece, and they think it's a pressure valve. But stuff like that's being reported on more mainstream kind of news sites. So intelligent life existing on Mars. Um, and then this one here, creationists criticize Pope Francis for backing of Big Bang and evolution theories. This again was a few weeks ago, but again, we're kind of in this international business website, and this one went global. This was all over uh, all the news sites, but the Pope basically saying that evolution and the Big Bang are not incompatible with, the faith. And again, you can make some plausible argument toward that, I guess, depending on how you interpret the Bible. But on the other hand, there's Exodus 20 verse 11. There's a lot of passages that I guess would push against anybody adopting that, and there's no evidence for evolution, but you can see how there's a there's going to have to be some religious system. We know there's a one world political and governmental system, financial system, and then a one world faith system. And boy, doesn't this, whether it is the Catholic Church, which I think it will be, but whether it's that or something, kind of muddled in the middle, you need these major faith systems to start embracing things that the atheists or the nominal Christians would deem acceptable. And that's, boy, the Pope is just standing right in that space. And so you can just see again, it's heating up from a biblical standpoint. This is it. I mean, um, I don't know. One other thing struck me here because we know America's not in the Bible. Um, so the GOP handed control of the Senate races, rebuke of Obama's policies here. They have the House and the Senate. Um, Again, I did video just a day or so ago, basically trying to point out the fact that at least at the national level, um, the Satanists, the Luciferians, probably are in control of most all of these key races and offices. And so this is just smoke and mirrors, voting for this or voting for that. It's a fake choice because it always moves in the same direction. And so what would be interesting about this, if that principle was correct, well, now you've got, the House and the Senate potentially politically divided against the president. And, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to see President Obama was itching for the reason to launch more edicts, more presidential mandates, because he's been saying, oh, the Congress is stalled and stalemated. Well, now this is the perfect reason. He'll say, I can't get anything through Congress because it's all positioned against him. And so I think this is just going to accelerate now. He's lame duck president. I don't even think the fact that he's lame duck matters. I'm kind of in the camp that I don't think there's 2 years left. But this will just be, again, a reason for Obama to be able to issue his presidential directives and continue breaking the Constitution. And in the end of the day, he's not going to be held to account, even if the Senate and the House are politically against him. There's enough people in bed with the Luciferian movement where that's just going to be part of the dynamic tension. You create the crisis and then there's a synthesis. That's the Hegelian dialect. And you guarantee the synthesis is going to draw America into a conflict where we're eliminated or we're severely broken, such that we see in Ezekiel 38 that the only probable reference to America, we're just complaining, we're not engaged, it doesn't appear in any of the end time passages. And so America is probably going to go down, and I really think it has to do with, we'll be caught up in this fake political struggle. Obama will be issuing edicts because he can't get anything through Congress. And we know right now, Russia this morning launched just a minute, I'm getting a little background ad being played in my ear. It's frustrating. Russia tested I think it was an ICBM launched off of a submarine underwater with a nuclear capable tip on it just this morning, and we know they've been testing the airspaces on the U.S. and the borders in Ukraine now for a few weeks. And so it just feels like, the Ezekiel 38, 39 scenario is at hand, and America potentially being taken down soon. And then you see the biggest faith system in Catholicism bowing to all these non-biblical philosophies that will further open the door for them to bring in atheists and nominal Christians and people that think science refutes the Bible. Well, he's going to capture them with the kind of words he's talking about there. And then as you saw, there's evidence of life design and life on Mars hitting mainstream media. And I don't think I showed you guys the Giants one, maybe, but um, the same uh, international business website was reporting on uh, two brothers in the Americas here that were pointing toward the Giants being here in the U.S. Let me pull that up quick. Okay, here we go. So this is Huffington Post, and did giants once live in North America? Two brothers search for the tall truth, and these guys have been in the news here for the last while. I think at least a year. I've seen different things on and off about them. Um, Let me read something kind of curious though. This is new for me. Here they're pointing to Genesis 6, and again, this is in Huffington Post, which I think is just really hilarious. Um, they're recounting, the different references through cultural history about giants being here. But this is neat. This came from stuff that they were reporting on. Abraham Lincoln made a reference to giants. In 1848, then Congressman Lincoln traveled to Niagara Falls and was so impressed by the imagery of the natural wonder that he wrote down some notes, including the following. When Columbus first sought this continent, when Christ suffered on the cross, when Moses led Israel through the Red Sea, nay, even when Adam first came from the hand of his Maker, then as now, Niagara was roaring here. The eyes of that species of extinct giants whose bones fill mounds of America have gazed on Niagara as ours do now. I just thought that was really cool because, again, the pot's heating up here. Um, this would be, the giants in the Bible would be a classic example of something that would just get mocked, especially by sort of the scientific oriented atheists that would see that in the Bible and just think it's a complete joke. And now this is in Huffington Post, which typically isn't Christian friendly. And they've got this uh, report sort of showing some evidence backing, and they quote the Bible. I think it's really pretty interesting where this is sitting. And saying the giants were 7 foot to 10 foot tall. And then they talk about historical reports found in Tennessee, 12-foot male in California, 10-foot tall skeleton in Indiana, 18 giant skeletons reported in Wisconsin burial mound, which I'm up here in Minnesota, and we've got burial mounds all over the place. And they're supposed to be sacred Indian mounds, but people have dug into this, said that that these race of these giants preceded the Indians, and so digging up the mounds really shouldn't be offending the Indians, but it's not happening because nobody's going to touch those, at least in my neck of the woods. So point I'd make about that is, this has got to play into the story somewhere that here, Huffington Post is talking about the fact that these giants exist and is willing to report on something that would typically make the Bible look foolish, and now they've got an article sort of supporting this. And I would say this might play into the fact that in the end days, it certainly seems like from the Bible that these giants, Rephaim, are going to return. And so if they do return, I guess there has to be some preparation done, I guess, of the public to get them ready to see, um, you know, giant people coming back. And so if you got evidence of design occurring on Mars and you've got some historical evidence of giants in the land, I think this becomes part of that story that, again, I think Tom Horn and Chris Putnam did the best job of explaining, that the alien saviors are going to come with a story that says that they even participated in the development of man. Maybe it's the ancient space planting of the seed of man on Earth type of story, but you've got the Catholic Church with the radio telescopes looking for, extraterrestrial and exoplanets, and you've got, the way being prepped with the Monsignor Cosmonalgo saying he would even baptize aliens coming out of the Catholic Church. You got the Pope embracing evolution and saying that's not inconsistent with the Bible. So can you see all these little bricks that are being put in place? That's why it kind of feels like the pot's getting really warm right now, and the frog is definitely still in it, even in terms of wider Christendom. Uh, how do you have these discussions when it seems so obvious that the Bible is correct, and you see this false narrative being stitched together, and you can't even engage people in the dialogue? They're afraid of being humiliated. I really think that's at the root of it. So, well, I'm sure that everybody else has kind of got their own version of this that they've been watching, but I just thought I'd share it this morning. Saints, just keep looking up. I mean, how much further can this go, really, without the church being taken? I mean, I just don't know. I think it's becoming too public. That's uh, obviously not from God's point of view, but I'm amazed every day. You browse through several articles of news, and this story, um, both confirming the Bible and the false narrative that people have been reporting on for years, just seems so obvious. But you know, I guess this is all part of the big plan. So, okay, saints, have a good day, and Lord willing, we'll see you on the next one.